5, 4, 3. Hi, everybody. Dugraz here with Dugroz Reports. Welcome to my Saturday morning live stream. Today is Saturday, September the 20th, 2025, and I'm reporting live from my house. Good to see each and every one of you on board this morning. Let's go ahead and take attendance. Mike Newland is on board. Good morning, Mike. Nuracan is as well. Here at work on a Saturday. Can't believe I'm number 2. Well, hey, thanks for watching me while you work. And, oh, that's me. Dad on a Mission has arrived. Ian M has arrived. And hey, looky there. Before we even got going, Mike Newland donates 5 Dugraz Reports memberships. Thank you so much, Mike. Celebrate. Oh, I really appreciate your patronage, Mike. Way to go. Mert says, Mike, generosity before Dugraz even joins. Make him earn it. I'll try my best to live up to it. Thank you. Everybody wishing each other happy Monday. Wait a minute. Today's not Monday. Saturday. Matt Clausen has arrived. Good to see you. Double Animal Fries is on board as well. All right. Well, we've got 22 people on board. Go ahead and click thumbs up and more people will flow on in here. Might as well start this live stream the way I normally do. Actually, let's talk about the theme of the day first. Today's theme of the day has to do with The Edit by Chase. That's their luxury hotel booking arm of the Chase travel portal. And there were some changes announced within the last 7 to 10 days or so. And we're going to discuss that, but mainly look at applicable ways this might now have me changing my mind about keeping the CSR and whether or not this minor yet impactful change makes it worthwhile or not. But before we get into the theme of the day, we start each live stream with Dugraz data points. This is anything around the world of points, miles, cash back, more, etc. Just things I find interesting. And I hope you find them interesting too. So let's go ahead and dive in here. First data point. This comes to us from Aeroplan and my email inbox. It said, what would you like to do with up to 85% more points? And basically, this was an email from Aeroplan that I got directly. Don't know if you got it or not. That says you can buy Aeroplan points at a discount since you're a first-time buyer. I've never bought them directly. And if I bought the threshold that gives the biggest bump up, the 85%, it came out to somewhere around 1.35 to 1.4 cents per point. Now, in my case, I predominantly use my Aeroplan points to pay myself back, which is at a rate of 1.25 cents per point once it gets to Aeroplan. So it wouldn't make sense to buy them at 1.35 to use them at 1.25. Just keep the cash and use it for whatever. But maybe you're going to do something else with your Aeroplan points. Like when I flew home from Austria via Munich, Germany last summer, or this most recent summer, we got somewhere around 10 cents per point using Aeroplan points on Lufthansa. So that would be totally worth 1.35 cents per point. So if you've never bought Aeroplan points before, but you have an Aeroplan account, check your inbox. You may or may not be included in that. And then additional Aeroplan news. So Aeroplan's, let's see, this is hat tip to Doctor of Credit. Sorry, it's a little small. Chase has brought back their 75,000 plus 25,000 two-tranche offer for the Chase Aeroplan card. Aeroplan card does not have a refer a friend offer as much as I like it, unfortunately. So just go find it on the Chase main page. But the general idea is up to 100,000 points broken down as follows. 75,000 points after spending $4,000 in 3 months, plus an additional 25,000 points after spending a total of 20,000, so another 16,000 in the first 12 months. In my case, I had something like this available when I got it a couple years ago. I only did the first tranche because to me it wasn't worth spending an additional 16,000, but depending on how much spend you have going through stuff, maybe it's worth it to you. Matt Clausen says, I promised a Chase video last night. I still have to do it. Hey, no problem. Cesar's here, mi hermano. How you doing, Cesar? Actually, since Cesar's on board, I'm going to skip ahead to a segment I was going to save for last, but he just now inspired me. This is a combination of Dugraz Eats and my personal data point here. So within the last week to 10 days, I went to Culver's and ordered a hamburger or cheeseburger or something. And I have never had this before, but they asked me my name. This was at the drive-thru. I think, could I get a name for the order? And I said Douglas. I don't know why I said Douglas, because I never go by that. I just go by Doug. I guess I was feeling a little cheeky or something. And the person there was like, how do you spell that? So I spelled it Douglas. Well, apparently they didn't hear me very well, because when I actually got the receipt, apparently my name was listed as Cougalos, Cougaloos. So this is either my Spanish-speaking name or, as my friend Brian pointed out, my lesser-known Lord of the Rings name. Cougalos will join the fellowship. I just thought that was funny, that I was called Cougalos. It's sort of like in Spanish 1 in high school, they have you pick your Spanish-speaking name. Mine was Pablo because Diego was taken, but maybe that could be it. New Again says, good morning, credit card fiends. Did you mean to say fiends? Probably friends. QC Man is here. Good morning, guys. Mojo, good morning, everyone. Hope all's been well. Cesar likes Cougalos. Brian's here. He's the one who mentioned this would be my Lord of the Rings name. One onion ring to rule them all. Ian likes it. Cesar, mi hermano Cougalos. I enjoyed that. I'm glad you can enjoy it too. Nothing to do with points and miles whatsoever, other than I guess maybe I used a credit or debit card to buy it. Next Dugraz data point here. This was in my wife's email inbox, not email inbox. When I logged in to check her Hawaiian Miles credit card, she got it just sort of as a one-time sign-up bonus play. But I'm paranoid, so I check all the cards at least every month or two to make sure there's no balance. And there wasn't. But I noticed there was this special offer here. You can get 2 times your Hawaiian Miles. Enroll now, and you get 2 times Hawaiian Miles for every $1 spent on all purchases up to $1,250 each month between August 1st and November 30th. Now, obviously, August 1st was a ways in the past. And my thought was, well, there's no harm in clicking the enroll button. I'll go ahead and enroll. So I went and did a little digging, and apparently Frequent Miler had actually covered this back on August 6th. I'm just a little behind schedule, but if you have the Hawaiian credit card, this might be targeted. We're not sure. Barclays is targeting some Hawaiian Airlines cardholders with an offer to earn double miles up to 1,250 bonus miles per month through the end of November. So this is how they break it down. Your 3X on Hawaiian and Alaska will become 6X. Your 2X on gas, dining, and groceries becomes 4X, and everything else becomes 2X instead of 1X. I couldn't see anything in the terms and conditions that stated that, and in the comments on Frequent Miler, there was a few people saying things like, oh, I've had this for 4 weeks and it hasn't posted yet. I wish I'd taken a screenshot of the fine print, because now I can't find it. But I do remember it said something like bonus miles will post 6 to 8 weeks after the period ends. I don't know if that means at the end of each month or after November 1st, but so what do you think I should do? Should I switch over to using the Hawaiian card for gas, dining, and groceries? I mean, if you value those at 2 cents per point, that's like 8X. That's pretty good. On the other hand, I don't know if it's worth messing with, because it's such a small amount, the bonus. You know, if I do gas, dining, and groceries, you know, it would only be, what they say, 1,250 of spend, and that's 2 cents, 2 bonus cents. So it's really only on the first $2,500, or it will get you at most 2,500 points. I don't know. Maybe I'll just go buy an Amazon gift card at a gas station or something like that. Let me know if you have any thoughts on that particular issue. Where were we? Oh boy, a lot of comments to catch up on here. Mert says, I had Culver's in Wisconsin a few weeks ago and it was phenomenal. Is it like the closer you get to the mecca of Culver's, the better it gets? QC Man says, I'll gladly pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today. That's probably a quote from something. I'm just not sure what it is. Caterpillar Rep says, Buenos dias, todos. I know Buenos dias is good day. I'm not sure of the todos part. Sorry. Sleepy Rod says, Cougalos is bizarro Dugroz. Cougalos just signed up for new refreshed Amex Platinum and prefers to pay cash if his points redemptions aren't above 1 cent per point. It's like Bizarro Superman, but Bizarro Dugraz. I'll have to add that to my alternate personalities with Dr. Doug, Mr. Roz, and now Cougalos. It's like George from Seinfeld. Everything I decide on is wrong. So from now on, I'm going to do the opposite of what my instinct tells me. Cougalos blows through Chase 524. New again says CSR new benefit 250 stay for people does not earn. Okay, let's come back to that later. Don't give away the lead. New again says I want to like Chase CSR, but man, do they make it hard. I hear what you're saying. Comparing CSR, yeah, we're gonna do that a little later. We're gonna go over some of the new stuff. Double Animal Fries says 4x Atmos is pretty good because Hawaiian basically becomes Atmos. It's worth at most 4x. Fargonaut meant to say comparing CSR upgrade to Platinum, it becomes obvious how much Chase could do to improve their work. We'll touch on that a little later. New again, I think they mean you won't earn points on the 250, which is how they do it now with the $300 travel credit. I'm with you on that. Tom Graber has gifted 1 Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Tom. How generous. That's the equivalent of $3. I'll mention now, if you want to support my channel, you got a couple different ways you can do that. You can be like Tom or like Mike and gift some memberships. There's probably a button somewhere down below for that. If you want to just give me a super sticker or super chat, just straight up money, that works too. And it's very much appreciated. Anything I get is reinvested in my channel, about 80%, and then 20% goes to my family budget. I'm trying to think of some creative ways to use some of my earnings from YouTube in a way that would please the audience. And I'm getting there, but I haven't necessarily put it all together. And a new-ish option that launched just a few weeks ago is I now have a tip jar. And basically, if you go down to the description box, this won't automatically populate on the screen. So give me a reminder at the end of the video and I'll check it out. If you don't want YouTube to take 30 to 50%, you want to support me with a little higher percentage. Can't celebrate as much, but you have that option. Or if you want to give anonymously, there is an option for that on the tip jar on the link down below. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. Caterpillar Rep clarifies that Todos means everyone. And Fargonaut says, Chase, don't take away features without advance notice. Don't make your current customers wait for benefits before giving them to a new user. I agree with that. Like, the card's already been refreshed. Why am I having to wait until October 26th to use it? QC Man gifted 1 Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate. Thank you, QC Man. I appreciate the patronage. Hey, 55 people on board. That's great. Let's keep on clicking thumbs up and we'll get up above 85 before you know it. Next data point here. This is just sort of a personal experience data point. I had to take an Uber ride last week, so I wanted to just make sure that Uber would code as transit on my city Strata card. This is the card that used to be my Rewards Plus with Citi, but they forcibly changed all of us to the no annual fee Strata card not too long ago. And good news, it does code as transit, so 3x points earned on that Uber transaction. And then even if I get you just a little more detail here, you'll see it codes as travel/taxi cabs and limousines. So yeah, it worked. New again says, to Fargonaut, tell Amex to do that also. Stephen Cohen says, I'm sitting at a 6-year-old's soccer game. The only thing getting me through it is having Dugroz Reports playing in my ear. Awesome. Thank you, Stephen. Hang in there. It's kind of like herding cats, I'm sure. I will say, when we get to the main event, I'm going to have a lot of data points. It's going to be just mostly hotels on a screen. I'm probably going to read them all individually because I know a lot of people, including Stephen, including people that listen after the fact, have told me they listen, they don't actually watch, like while they're mowing the lawn or driving or something like that. So I will try to read it out loud as much as possible. Brian Jackson celebrates 1 month of membership and says membership has its privileges. Awesome. QC Man celebrates 18 months of membership. Whoa. He says, new CSR benefits you're looking forward to getting? ? I'm considering it. I'm giving consideration. I have the CSR right now. Fortunately, I renewed this summer at the old 550 rate, so I've got some test drive time. When we get to the main event, I'm going to run some scenarios where I was thinking at first it wouldn't be worthwhile, but now it might. Double Animal Fries wants me to know that he finally liquidated the rest of my USBR points. Feels good. I can't blame you. I did too, except for like $3 worth. Ian says, herding cats. Great. All right, let's keep on pushing on through here. Next Dugraz data point. This is Hat Tip Doctor of Credit, and it says, last chance Amex Business Platinum card will no longer earn 35-point rebate on all first and business class bookings. But you'll notice this was posted on the 16th, which was 4 days ago. So this is now in the past. Up until recently, if you had the Amex Business Platinum, you could get a 35% rebate when paying with points on either your preferred airline, whichever one you selected, or any first and business class. Any first and business class is no longer applicable. So like if you have Delta as your chosen airline, which I do, and you try to fly business class on American, which I did, in the past, I got the rebate. Moving forward, would no longer get that rebate. It would have to be Delta regardless of class. So a little bit of a nerf, not terrible, but a bit of a bummer for people like me who don't travel often enough to really have dramatic airline loyalty. So like if I was taking a Delta economy flight in April and an American first class flight in September, it'd be like, oh, so don't love that. Excuse me, folks. I need to clear out the sinuses. There we go. And hopefully I unmuted successfully. Looks like I did. Next data point here, just a couple quick hitters. Amex has an offer out for a lot of people right now. Hat tip to Doctor of Credit. Safeway grocery stores, spend $50 and get $10 can be done twice. Now, of course, this offer has to appear on your Amex card. I don't have any Safeways near me. Maybe when I go see the in-laws in Arizona in December, I'll still have this on one of my cards. Could take advantage of it then. But if you do any grocery shopping at Safeway or have one near you, go for it. That's a pretty good and easy to use offer. Hey, remember the whole debacle with Hilton gift cards? Still hat tip Doctor of Credit. Excuse me, hat tip frequent miler this time. Hilton's terms and conditions have changed now. I like the graphic of the lady slamming her head into the wall, the guy in the background with his hand over his face. Hilton will exclude gift cards from Hilton credits starting in 2026. So to be a little more specific with all of that, this was posted on Frequent Miler, but they're giving their hat tip to Doctor of Credit. Effective January 31st, 2026, Hilton gift card purchases will no longer be considered an eligible purchase, and you will not receive the statement credit for Hilton gift card purchases. There's a funny statement down below that says, their website's been saying an upgraded gift card experience will come soon. My guess is that the upgraded Hilton gift card experience will come online right around February 1st, and that it's only a matter of time before the same language appears on the Surpass and Hilton business cards. So, yeah, if you're wanting to do the strategy that I first learned from Anthony Venture of liquidating those credits easily through gift cards, it ain't coming back, folks. Sorry. So I've decided that if I'm not traveling any given quarter, I need to use one or two of those credits. I just need to go to a Hilton somewhere in the Des Moines area and do some dining. Happy Tom says, sorry I'm late. Here's my tardy pass, Mr. Dugraz. I'll allow it. Thanks. Mojo says, what's been your thoughts on the U.S. Bank Cash Plus card? Still worth it? Better than Smartly? Yeah, it's still worth it. 5% on utilities, gym memberships, very much worth it. Better than Smartly? For me, yes. And I think for probably 85% of people, better than Smartly. Unless you're like a really high spender just running truckloads of everyday spend through your cards and you don't want to do repeated sign-up bonuses. Of course, they have it capped now, don't they? $10,000 per month. So not if you're a really, really high spender. You have to be just this right amount of high spend. New Again replies, I'm going to do that in November. Did you still need to have the full amount of points at 1.5 to cover those charges? Oh, you're talking about liquidating the USB AR. No, you no longer have to. You just only need the reduced rate. If you need to know what I mean, you probably know what I mean. If not, send me a private message. Fargonut says, yes, New Again, the Business Platinum was nowhere near as impressive as the Personal Plat rollout. Catch 631 fills in for John and says, 54 watching or listening, but only 22 likes. Hit that like button, guys. Thanks, Catch. Appreciate that. Glad to have you on board this morning. And QC Man says, easiest is one of the cash back on Apple Pay spends similar for similar spend as Safeway. Okay, so apparently there is also an Amex offer for cash back on Apple Pay that is similar. I haven't had that one, but maybe you do. Dad on a Mission says, I finally got rid of my Hilton gift cards last Saturday. The Graduate in Tucson. I was down there watching the University of Arizona football game. Hey, I might be watching the Arizona football game in about a week. Maybe. Not sure yet. I'll definitely be watching. It's a question of in-person versus on TV. They're coming to Ames, Iowa to play the Iowa State Cyclones, if you're wondering. QC Man says, I think Dr. Credit speculated that the Hilton gift card hack might still work for buying a gift card in person at a Hilton. If you find a Hilton that A, has them in stock, and B, they actually know how to load them. New Again disagrees with Fargonaut. Hot take. I plan to downgrade my personal platinum to green and upgrade my business green to platinum. Interesting. New Again also says, or do a new business platinum app for 300,000 to 350,000 MR sub. Got a data point about that somewhere in here as well. But let's continue on in order. Moving along. Next Dugraz data point. Chase is making an edit to the edit credit. Hat tip Stephen Pepper with Frequent Miler. This is actually what the main event is about today. So a little bit of a preview here. What this is referencing is Chase has a luxury branch of their travel portal for hotels called The Edit. Dumb name. They could have just called it Chase Luxury Hotels or something. But with that in mind, they're making a change to that. When it was first announced, what was that, 2 months ago, something like that? It was per semester. So you get $250 of credit towards those hotels booked in their portal, Edit Hotels only, in the first semester through June, and then another $250 in the second semester, July through the end of the year. The thing that's changing is they're now saying you can use those anytime, even back to back. So like if you have a hotel booking Monday night, Tuesday night, and then you have another hotel booking Wednesday night, Thursday night, go ahead and use them both. So that's the thing that's changing, and that's a really good thing that's changing, in my opinion. When we get to the main event, I will tell you why that is. And then a tangentially related data point here, well, strongly related. By the way, that change goes into effect on January 1st, being able to use them both back to back or anytime throughout the year. There's a new Sapphire Reserve benefit for 2026 only. And this is a $250 credit for select Chase travel hotels in their portal. This is on top of the two 250s from the edit. So in theory, if you use all three of these in 1 year, the two normal credits from the edit, that'd be $500, plus this one-time special credit, that'd be $750 of hotel credit. But it's only on certain brands. What are those brands? I'm glad you asked. Tell them what it is, Rod. IHG Hotels, Omni Hotels, Virgin Hotels, Pendry Hotels, Montage Hotels, Pan Pacific Hotels, and who wouldn't want to stay at a minor hotel? I'd like to stay at a major hotel. No. I don't want a major hotel chain. I want a minor hotel, which, like Matt Clausen said in his video on the topic, I've literally never heard of. So that's kind of cool. Will they renew it in future years? I don't know. But in 2026, at least, you get that little icing on the cake thing. So just something worth mentioning. And I'll get into this main event, but you do have to do a minimum of a 2-night booking in both the regular edit credits and this one-time special credit for it to trigger. I know you do for sure in the regular one. This special one, I believe you do. Don't quote me on that because I cut off the article before I could read that part. Okie dokie. Let me catch up on some comments here. Whoa, Mike Newland, in addition to the 5 prior donations, donates 20 Dugraz Reports memberships. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate your strong patronage as always. That will definitely support the channel. So the 20 from now plus the 5 from earlier, that makes 25. Take that times 3. That's the equivalent of donating $75 via Super Chat. Celebrate. All right, that'll go a long ways towards supporting my channel. I really appreciate it. QC Man says, the quote I had earlier was for the Popeyes character Wimpy, who never liked to pay for his burgers up front. Oh, that's right. I do remember that now that you mention it. He wants to basically do layaway for his burgers. Whew, says Ian to Mike. QC Man says that special credit is definitely a response to the Platinum refresh. I think both of those things are. So loosening up when you can use the edit, as well as that special one-time $250 on select hotels like IHG, Pendry, Minor. I think that's all a response to the Platinum refresh. Sort of like the Platinum, when the Chase refresh was announced, came out and said, we're going to make a refresh too, to take attention away from Chase. Chase is like, look, our credit's way more flexible on dates than theirs, to kind of draw attention away from them. Ralph lets us know Todos is everyone. Let's see. Buenos dias, Todos. Buenos dias, Todos. How'd I do? Totally ready to fit in Puerto Rico, aren't I? Take a quick look at your email. You may be targeted for a free 600 points. Check that. 6,000 points from Virgin Red. There's no direct link. You just have to look in your email for a subject line that says London is calling, and this time it's on us. So, hey, free is free, so no harm in checking. Maybe you get that, maybe you didn't. It's also next Dugraz data points here. Hat tip frequent miler. You can save up to 20% with these national and enterprise Amex offers. So if you're going to be renting a car in the near future, there's also one for Hertz, but we are having a soft boycott of Hertz, aren't we, gang? Because of their tunnel of artificial intelligence. Let's see what Hertz and enterprise are doing. Spend $250 or more in one purchase with national and get $50 back. Spend $300 or more in one purchase with enterprise and get $60 back. These are targeted Amex offers. You may or may not have them, and this expires December 31st. This is only available in U.S. and U.S. territories. So if you need to rent a car in Scotland or something like that, sorry, it won't work there, even if it is national or enterprise. Calder DS, thanks, Mike, for a donated membership. I like your mallard. And Mike responds with a okie dokie. Quick hitter here. The categories have now been announced for the Chase Freedom and Freedom Flex for fourth quarter, and I am very underwhelmed. We have Old Navy, Chase Travel, and department stores. I'm assuming department stores is like Macy's, Yonkers, Kohl's, Herberger's, those kind of things. Pier 1, etc. Basically like your clothing stores is what I would think. Are there any department stores that are like general 5 and dime stores anymore? I'm confident Walmart and Target don't count. Sam's Club, Costco, I'm sure none of those count. And then the December birthday category will be PayPal. Now that one I like a lot better. That's a lot easier to use up. But for only the month of December, PayPal will be added in as well. New Again says, FYI, Sixt is as bad as Hertz with AI scans. I didn't know that, but that's good to know. Thank you very much. Mike Newland drops a $1.49 super sticker. Celebrate. I hadn't gotten around to saying it, but I have a standing order until further notice. Anybody who donates exactly $1.49 as displayed on the screen gets 1,000 Dugraz points. So here you go, Mike. Boom, 1,000 Dugraz points for you. Matt says, London calling to the underworld. Come out of the cupboard, you boys and girls. I'm sure that's a quote from something. Don't know what it is. QC Man says, PayPal only being December is trash. I wouldn't say it's trash, but it is trash, probably. Hat tip to Sledge. Next Dugraz data point here. Hey, did you know that the Platinum card refresh was announced this week? Frequent Miler calls it the shockingly compelling $895 Platinum card. I definitely won't get into all the details here because I don't have time. We could spend an entire episode talking about it. But the kind of big talking point is instead of the Fine Hotels and Resorts credit, I think you can also use it for the hotel collection, being $200 once a year, it is now $300 per semester. So first half of the year, second half of the year. I don't like the restriction of per semester, but hey, it is going up to $300. And I'll get into this more later. I don't think that suits me because that's 2 trips per year instead of 1. But if you're somebody that already did 2 of those kinds of luxury stays per year, it probably is shockingly compelling. And then also the Amex Business Platinum is out with a standard non-targeted 200,000 welcome point offer. To get that, you do have to spend how much? $20,000 in 3 months. It says some people have had good luck triggering a targeted 250,000, 300,000 offer with browser configurations, internet searches, referral links, etc. As far as I can tell, this is now the standard business platinum offer, 200,000 points, spend $20K in 3 months. Will it last? We don't know, but it is definitely an increase. Mike Newland says, lots of computer problems over there right now. Is that over there meaning London? David Williams says, good morning, doll. Dugraz is like Sunday school. Nope, Saturday school. Thanks. Fargonaut says 20K in 3 months. You're a much bigger player than me. Salute. And I agree with that. If you could do 20,000 in 3 months easily, you'd be a much bigger player than me. I could probably make it happen if I like prepaid truckloads of stuff and didn't do like any other subs for 3 months after that. So 6 months total, but it would be a bit of a stretch to do it. Whoa, Xavier has arrived, and the silent donor, Xavier, Mr. 1099, drops $49.99. He's got 2 little celebration horns. You know what that means. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you, Xavier. Wow, I really, really appreciate your patronage. That is so helpful. Guys, I'm just always blessed and moderately floored by your giving. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really, really, really like it. I like it a lot. Mike Newland even thanks him for supporting. All right. There are some benefits to being a channel member. And if you're not currently a channel member, consider joining a Dugraz Diehard. It's only $3 a month. Cancel anytime. And I've got over 50 members only videos. You can go in and binge. Actually, over 55. I think it's like 58 now. And then if you cancel after a month or two, I won't be offended, I promise. But $3 a month is my one and only one membership level. If you join as a member while the video is going, a little green thing will pop up and we can all celebrate together. And in addition to that, here's what you get. You get those members only videos. You get early releases of most of my videos. Usually you get 24 hours early. I'm also a little more inclined to communicate with you directly or offline if you're a member. If you're a member and you send me an invitation on Discord, there's a much higher chance I'll know who you are. So let's do one of those member actions, because I think this is very suitable and very fitting. This comes from member and friend of the channel, Ron B. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about one of the reasons why I like Hilton is because of guaranteed connecting rooms. And guaranteed is guaranteed. If you can do it yourself online, that just makes a world of difference. I know that sometimes you can like call the manager and beg them to give you connecting rooms, but it doesn't always work out. So here's Ron's story. I watched your Saturday live stream and the manager said it would happen, meaning guaranteed connecting rooms, didn't work out for me. I originally booked the room with cash to reserve it. When I acquired enough points, I tried to call the number on the back of the card for help. They said, international bookings, the only way that you can redo this is to cancel and rebook. When they rebooked, they did it wrong. They got the wrong room. And when I told them the error, they called the manager and had a note put on the configuration to upgrade me to the room I really wanted. When I arrived, all the hotel rooms I wanted had been used up. I had to use points to get another room and to get adjoining rooms. They did provide me with 20,000 points back because of the screw up. So the extra room was about half the points it should have been. And then Rotten sent me a clarification within the last 24 hours. On this topic, I was supposed to get the 2-queen bed with sofa bed. I have to imagine Ron was traveling with family, so he needed like 2 people and a queen, 2 people and a queen, and then at least one more for a sofa bed. But they booked me in just to a plain old queen room that didn't have a sofa bed, and I had to make a whole separate booking while standing at the desk for a king bedroom so they would connect. Ironically, this was at a Hilton, so even Hilton can get it wrong. But if I can do it online myself and make sure it's right, do you know what the peace of mind is for that? It's pretty stellar. That's why I like Hilton's guaranteed connecting room feature so much. So thanks for that negative data point, Ron. I'm so sorry you had to endure that. If any of you have stories of like the manager said they would do it and then they didn't, or we'll put a note on the file and then they dropped the ball, that'd be fun to share. In fact, we could do a whole episode on that kind of stuff, I'm sure. The Platinum OG says this: property taxes on 2 properties, fire, earthquake, and homeowners insurance. That $20K goes quickly. Well, if you've got a car like that, I'm sure it does. I've got a 2013 Kia Soul. Thanks. I appreciate that, Platinum OG. Yeah, and I do pay my property tax, not property tax. I pay my property and car insurance directly. I don't have them escrowed. That 300K MR offer has me considering buying groups. I'm a leech, says Sleepy Rod. I can't blame you. Salute, Ian K. Xavier says, glad to be able to support. Thank you so much, Xavier. We'll have to touch base again. Are you going to be in Puerto Rico? Love to see you there. Tariq Burks drops a $2 super chat. Celebrate. Thank you, Tariq. I really appreciate your support and welcome on board this morning. I was also going to mention, now that the Atmos card is out that gives 3x on any international spending. I'm wondering how long it's going to be before somebody starts doing all of their super chats and super stickers in a foreign currency on YouTube, because I do know you can basically somehow tell them I'm from a different country, or maybe I don't know if you have to use a VPN or not. Maybe you just choose the currency you want to do business in. So you can donate in Indian rupees or yen or British pound sterling or Swedish kroner, whatever currency you want. And then you get 3 points instead of just 2 or whatever. LN is here and also drops a 149 super sticker. Boom, LN. There you go. 1,000 Dugraz points. Celebrate. Wants to know how I redeemed Dugraz points. There's only a few transfer partners so far. Bennigan's, Country Supply, or Tractor Supply, and Vacasa, but only in West Virginia and Iowa. Xavier says, yes, I will be there. Can't wait. Awesome. See you around. And the Platinum OG says, the car insurance and maintenance on 5 vehicles as well. Lol. Cesar, can't wait for the meetup. You're going to be a busy dude being the host for all of us, Cesar, but we really, really appreciate it. It's going to be super ultra fun. Dear Mom, I got to see all my friends today. Sort of like going to camp. Next Dugraz data point, we're approaching the end here. Now, if you were already a diehard, you would know about this. In fact, the diehards knew about this 6 days ago. Diehards, a points and miles minor miracle occurred today. Check both pictures. So I'll give you a big picture and then I will zoom in. So I've got 2 things that say, Douglas, you've been approved. What are those 2 things that I've been approved for? Let's zoom in even more. Well, this one sure looks like a Chase Inc. Business Unlimited card, and it says $6,000 credit line down here. And then this one sure looks like a Marriott Bonvoy Boundless card, also issued by Chase, and it says a $12,700 credit line. Well, how about that? So how did that happen? It was actually last Saturday. So 1 week ago today, I had my morning live stream. And then later that day in the evening, I went ahead and did the thing. I've been talking about it for a long time. So if you've been around for any length of time, you know my strategy has been, well, before I start applying for personal cards again this fall, I want to get through summer. I'm going to have 2 of my 524 slots dropping off. So I'm going to go from 424 down to 224 in early September, which happened. I'm just going to take a flyer on the Chase Inc. card. I know it probably won't work. I was denied for one about 3 months ago. After that denial, I'm like, you know what? I don't need to pay the $99 fee on my Chase Inc. business card. Excuse me, my IHG business card. So I dropped the IHG business card. I don't like collecting free night certificates. I'm not really staying at IHG's much. I mean, I can. I just won't have that built-in platinum status, 4th night free, etc. So I let that go, and I thought, let's give it 3 months and try one more time. Probably won't work. Not only did it work, it was an instant approval. Didn't even have to do the let's think about it a couple days. Didn't have to call recon. It was like I had both applications queued up, one in a regular window, one in a incognito window. I clicked submit on the Ink card first. 3 seconds later, I clicked submit on the Marriott card, and boom, Douglas, you've been approved. Boom, Douglas, you've been approved. I could not believe it. It was like Kevin from Home Alone. That'll be the thumbnail. I do plan to do a video on this, breaking down a little bit more why I did this. The Marriott card is going to take the path to get the Ritz-Carlton in about a year. And I wanted that to be after summer ended, because I don't want to have a new free night certificate coming up in the middle of the summer, because I generally either travel in the summer, spring, or like October. So September is a perfect time to renew. I know exactly when I need to use it. Rel says, fantastic Dugraz points transfer partners. Awesome. QC Man says, Minor Hotels isn't a transfer partner yet. I just found out about their existence within the last week. So I'll have our marketing team get on the phone to them, and we can maybe work on that. Congrats, Doug, says QC Man. Operation Upgrade to Ritz is underway. It sure is. What was the application process like? I probably answered that question after you typed the email. But like I said, I'll do a follow-up on it. Was the ink approved for an EIN or sole prop? sole prop, use my social security number. And the other thing is I've had all three of the Ink cards. I've had the Chase Ink Preferred, Chase Ink Unlimited, Chase Ink Cash. I've had a second Chase Ink Cash. I canceled the Preferred. I've canceled the duplicate Cash. So at the time of application, I had an unlimited and a cash, and I got another unlimited. So I had already had 4 Ink cards in the history of my life under this same social security number before this. And I know the statistics are like only 10% of people in that situation get one. Guess I'm in the 10%. They must like me. New Again says, I agree. Hotel cards are value traps, except the Aspire and all those $99 annual fees and more add up fast. I agree with that. I try to save myself there from too many. I just don't travel enough that I'm going to definitely get good use out of a free night certificate. 68 people on board, make that 70. Keep on smashing thumbs up. I'd love to get into the 80s before the main event, but I'll take what I can take, of course. A data point to go along with this. If you're wondering, my inquiry for the cards went on Experian, and I checked it in like 3, 4, 5 different places. I have Capital One's free credit monitoring, I have Chase's free credit monitoring, I have Experian directly. I have a thing called ARAG through my job that I get at a major discount, which is like identity theft protection and lawyer services, legal stuff. All of them only reported one hard pull. So doing them on the same day, or at least within 3 or 4 minutes of each other, only one hard pull from Chase, fortunately. So that was extra goodly and extra worth it. So I went down to 224. Now I'm back up to 324. But I think in November, I got another one dropping off. So if I am a little more disciplined than I was 2 years ago, I can maybe keep this going. We'll find out. And the unlimited card was referred over by Mrs. Dugraz. And it was before they dropped it from to the thing where you cannot have had a previous card. So I should be getting, I think it's still at 20,000 right now, 20,000 on top of that. So 90,000 for the card itself, 20,000 for the referral. That's 110,000 Chase points. And then with the Marriott Bonvoy card, it is 3 free night certificates. I know it was 5 earlier this summer, but I'm like, those extra 2 free night certificates aren't worth it to me to screw up having this card forever if it becomes the Ritz at the wrong renewal date. So the renewal date was more important than the extra 2 free night certificates. And I just got done saying I don't really love free night certificates. So I'm going to have to be willing to blow those 3 at low value places like roadside or airport hotels. Next Dugraz data point, let's talk about the OneKey card. This is issued by the Welsh Fargo Corporation, Wells Fargo. OneKey is the rewards program that is a combined for Hotels, Vrbo, and Expedia, hotels.com. Got it for my wife a little over a year ago. Thought that the gold status that came with it would be worth something. Did a couple experiments. One time Matt Clausen helped me look some stuff up. One time I got together with some of my diehards. And basically what I found out is, with very few exceptions, like at some very expensive properties like the Watergate in Washington, D.C., they'll give you like a free bottle of champagne or free parking. But otherwise, even though it'll say like you get a 20% discount with gold, you get the exact same benefit with blue, which is their free status. So I'm like, not going to keep it. And the great thing is, since it's not a rewards currency that's tied to the card, I still have anything I earned on OneKey. I'm just going to get rid of the card. So I sent a message to one of my diehards. I didn't specifically ask permission to reveal who it was. If you're on board right now and want to fess up, that's fine. Remember I said being a diehard, you get extra benefits? I sent a message to one of my diehards and said, random data point. I called Wells Fargo. This was when the annual fee hit. They would not let us product change the OneKey card to anything else, so we just canceled it. They didn't even offer to change to the no annual fee OneKey card. Now, it might have been a newer agent. If I'd pushed, that's fine. But I said, can I product change this to the Wells Fargo Attune? And he said, I need to look in the system, so I'll have to put you on hold for about 5 minutes. He came back and said, I'm sorry, we can't product change to any other cards. We can't product change to the Attune. We can't product change to the Autograph or anything else. We just can't do any product changes. He probably meant we can't do any product changes to any Wells Fargo points earning cards, I'm guessing. And he did say, we're always looking for suggestions, so I'll put an official suggestion in the system that you would like to be able to product change to other Wells Fargo cards. I was hoping we could get the Attune out of this, but can't. So we just canceled. The person I sent this to said, I've never had the OneKey card. Did you mean to send this to someone else, or do you just like me? To which I said, I choose you. So isn't it good to be a diehard? Sometimes you get just random communication. And then to be a little more specific with that, I went online, and this is my wife's OneKey card. Now says this account is closed. If you have an outstanding balance, blah, 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 blah. So no more OneKey Plus card. I think I might need to go to my whiteboard on Rich with Points and update that here. So let's go ahead and do that now. Hat tip Rich with Points. So let's find it. There it is. Gone. No more OneKey cards. So instead of 7 times 5, 35, I'm down to only 34. This is me and my wife, business, personal, all put together. Haven't added the 2 cards I just got approved for yet. They haven't even shown up in the mail yet. So still working on that. That's part of the reason I'm holding off on doing an updated video on those. What do you think about all that, folks? Let me go over and catch up on comments here. 71 on board, says QC Man. Chase loves Experian. That's true. They do. I think all my hits come through Experian. Did you close your other Chase business cards? Maybe that helped. I had kind of gradually closed them over time. So this past summer, I had just the 3, 1 unlimited, 1 cash, and the IHG one. I canceled the IHG one. In the more distant past, like a year, 2, 3 years ago, I'd canceled a prior Inc. preferred and a prior Inc. cash. Yes, he did. He only had 2 open at the time of application. True. But I imagine his success is also based on a good amount of time between opening and closing those cards. I agree with that. I don't know if this matters, but I've never had a checking or savings account with Chase, and I don't plan to get one because it seems like that somehow increases your risk of a shutdown. Mike Newland says, good morning to Juan Garcia. Your mascot just changed. You went back to being a Bengal instead of a Japanese building. And Juan says hello back. And New Again says, pro tips, those travel aggregator reseller cards like OneKey are most definitely a value trap. Sign up bonus year 1. I got like $600, $700, $800 in cash to use on hotels.com, but you're right. I wouldn't do it after year 1. It's a trap, as Admiral Akbar would say. All right, we're going to go ahead and shift now into the theme of the day. Let me go ahead and pull that up real quick like here. Bear with me, folks. I'm tripping on. Oh, hey, I just noticed on my tip jar, I have an anonymous tip for $3 from Tipper. Celebrate. Thank you, anonymous giver. I really appreciate that. Okay, so let's fire up the screen, share the correct tab, make it the correct size. We're going to get big. We're going to get full screen. One moment, folks. I got to blow my nose. This is a big time one, so I'm going to step off to the side for just a moment or make myself disappear. Sometimes there's just no way to discreetly clear your sinuses. Excuse me. 5, 4, 3. Today's theme of the day, the edit credit breakdown. Ooh. So what is I talking about here? What is it? What is the edit? It's kind of like Fine Hotels and Resorts, and I think picking the name The Edit is really dumb because it basically guaranteed that anytime somebody explains what it is, they have to say it's kind of like Fine Hotels and Resorts. So basically, do you like luxurious hotels? So the hotels they have chosen as part of this collection on Chase Travel called The Edit are part of The Edit. And you get some perks by booking these finer hotels. You get a $100 property credit, which could be like a massage, maybe room service. Some let you count breakfast, some don't. You get free breakfast for 2 each day, and these are stays of 2 days or more. Now, of course, you want to make sure it's not overpriced. So that's it. That's what the edit is. And then in terms of what it gives you 2 credits of $250. Now, this was set up, or what's new, this was set up as 1 per semester. So first semester, January through June, you could use 1. July through December, you could use another 1. But now you can use it anytime. So if you, like I said, you want to do March 1st and 2nd for 1, and then March 3rd and 4th for another, you can do that also. So this is what the ideal is. If I decided to go this route, this is what my ideal use case would be. Do a 4-night stay and then use both of those $250 credits on 1 2-night stay. Now, the reason I say that is because you know how I am. I'm very much a Mr. Roz. I'm never going to be the guy who goes to a $10,000 resort ever, probably. So I'm looking for probably once a year. I'm an intermittent traveler, 3 or 4, maybe maximum of 7 times a year I'm out traveling. And probably all but 1, maybe all but 2 of those are going to be more like, let's just stay at a nice Airbnb. Holiday Inn Express is fine. Hyatt Place is fine. Hilton Garden Inn is fine. No problem. Just kind of your less expensive hotels. Maybe they have a free breakfast built in, and I like that. Embassy Suites is one that would fit that category. I have stayed at places like the Wharf in Washington, D.C., which is an IHG property that's very nice. I have stayed at the Ivy Hotel in Minneapolis. I have stayed at Salamander Resort, but not a ton. So it's not going to happen a lot, which is why for me, I really like corn, but also the difference between having to use it twice a year like Amex forces you to do versus once per year for an intermittent traveler like myself, that really changes the equation and is what prompted me to do this deeper dive. I'd like to do the 4-night stay back to back and use the $500 credit on 1 stay. This is a part that is unknown, but ideally you can use it twice on 1 4-night booking. So their system would be smart enough to know, oh, he booked 4 nights. Let's give him a check box or something where he can apply the credit twice. I don't know if that would work or not. That way you're in the same room the whole time. You don't have the call the manager thing. If not, you can probably just do 2 by 2 and hope that they don't make you change rooms. So, like I said, March 1st and 2nd in the Acadia Hotel, I'm making up a name, in Eugene, Oregon. Honda, man. March 1st, 2nd at the Acadia Hotel. You check in, and then you say, hey, I also have a booking for the 3rd and 4th. Can you just make sure I'm in the same room or somehow merge these? I do know there was some word with FHR that they were like asking hotels not to allow that if it's like player 1 had one and player 2 had another. I never really heard any horror stories of that being enforced. If you know of any, let me know. But this is Chase, and they actually want to beat Amex. So I have to imagine if they're letting you use these anytime, they know some people are going to do it back to back, and they're saying, let's give up a little bit of breakage in exchange for hopefully getting an advantage over Amex. Again, an advantage for everyone. I don't know. Are you Richie Rich or are you poor boy Dugraz like me? Depends on which category you fall into. I better catch up on some comments here right now. We already went through these. Pro tip. Oh, no, we already went through that one. Sleepy Rod said, it's hard to chase points when you're over 524. So the edit will never be for me since you pretty much have to use 1,000,000 points for 1 booking. But hey, it's 2 cents per point. Do you, Rod? Do you? Tuck that away. Ian says, I'm tipper, I guess. Have a good day. Oh, thanks, Ian. I really appreciate your tip. I much appreciate it. I don't know why it doesn't show your name. It has on others. And then there's another person that just dropped a $20 tip jar called Die Hard is the name of the person. So thank you, Ian Tipper. Thank you, Die Hard, whoever you are. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you for that anonymous donation. And if I just do like, it appears that on tip jar, you have the option of covering the fee or not covering the fee. The anonymous tip, which we now know to be Ian, and I won't say whether or not he covered the fee because that would be kind of rude. But the processing fee on that was 18 cents. So if I take 18 cents divided into $3, that's 6%. Whereas like super stickers, super chats on YouTube, even membership donations are more like 20 to 50%. So even though you don't get the celebration effect, your money goes further to supporting me on the tip jar. But I'm good with any kind of donation. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to make an issue out of it. All right, let's keep pressing ahead here with what we know about this particular subject. An unknown, but ideally, these stays would be as close to $500 total as possible because I like free. It's kind of like Sleepy Rod just says, you have to use 1,000,000 points. But if you can get it close to $500, it would be effectively free, or as my father likes to say, at no additional cost if you're already paying the annual fee. That's probably unrealistic, but you know what I'm going to do today? See how close we can get. If you can't get it all the way down to $500 in order to make it free, instead, or you could use 2 cents per point in a points plus cash mix and leave $500 behind. Do you know what I mean? Well, maybe a visual aid would help with that. So here is a edit hotel I started to book. Now, unfortunately, I don't have enough points right now. I only have around 40,000 points, just a touch over, to cover the Tivoli Dolien Amsterdam Hotel, 1,976. But you'll notice that if I bump it, if I use 39,000 points plus 1,196, well, that's the ratio there. That's what's due. If I add 1,000 points, it's 1,176. So you use 1,000 points and it lowers the price by $20. So let's all grab our calculators. I expect you all to be doing this along with me right now. And everybody wants you to take $20 divided by 1,000 points. Tell me what the result is. Oh, look, it's 2 cents per point. That's right. Any booking through the edit, you get 2 cents per point. At least every single one that I tried out. I'm going to get to my examples in just a few moments here. That's why I put 2 cents per point off to the side there. Here's an example, the Shinola Hotel in Detroit, Michigan. I just thought that was a really fun name. Let's find some 4-night the edit stays. So the rest of the time today, I'm going to be showing you lots of examples of 4-night stays with the edits. In theory, the price would be the same whether we broke it down by 2 2-night stays or 1 4-night stay. These are somewhat random dates, not entirely random, but I'm trying to do kind of a sampling throughout the year. So some are going to be in March, some are going to be in October. I tried to get in a good handful of times that I traveled, although not all of them are. So I think if it's not a perfect representation of how I might use this, it's at least a 75% representation of how I would use it. Good enough, right? 71 people on board still. We're kind of stuck. So just keep on clicking thumbs up. And thank you to everyone who's made a donation or a support of some kind. A couple disclaimers or maybe clarifications here. What I did was earlier this week, I went through a bunch of cities where I thought there would be the edit properties. I haven't found a way to tell Chase yet. I just want to see all of the properties in the entire United States or the entire world that are from the edit. So what I was like, well, I know these are going to be in big cities, maybe some medium to small cities, some beach resort areas. Like I checked Panama City Beach, Florida, which isn't a big town, but I know a lot of people go there. My family went there in the 80s and 90s a lot. New Orleans isn't a big town, but a lot of people go there. Atlantic City, I checked those kind of places. So I checked a bunch of big cities, a bunch of compelling places like Acadia National Park, those kind of things. Places I know people go, and in many cases, at least half the places I would like to go. And I found the cheapest or most compelling one in each city. What I mean by most compelling is, let's say that there was a property that was the cheapest and it got like a 3-star rating. And there was one that was like $50 more that got a 5-star rating. I would go with that second cheapest one because it was more compelling. If it was a tie or really close to a tie and one allowed you to have your membership benefits flow through, like an IHG property where you could put in your IHG number, or a Hyatt property where you could put in your Hyatt number. If it was like $25 more, I would use that second cheapest one. So if the more compelling one. So that's how I did my sampling here. I should have mentioned that also. Properties that are part of the edit, if you have a membership number with those properties, you should be able to put it in for some of them, certainly not all of them. A whole bunch are IHG and Marriott, which makes sense because they're Chase partners. A few are Hyatt. And then there's some weird ones like a Core Live Limitless. I didn't see any minor hotels. This is because of my cheap-ish travel style. So I want cheaper, not more expensive. So that's why I'm going for the least expensive one in each city. I call it low luxury. So it's luxury, but it's the low end of luxury. It's Midwest dad luxury. There were around 50 cities that I found, or 50 different locations that I found. I know some people have complained that the edit isn't in as many places as FHR. I'm sure that's true, but there's still lots of locations. And I would say the average was about 7 locations per city or place that I checked. There was a few that only had 1, 2, or 3. But then you have like New York City and Chicago, which have 30 or 40. So I'd say the average are around 7. So if that's correct, we're talking 50 times 7, 350 edit properties that I saw. And obviously I didn't search like, Saudi Arabia. I shouldn't say obviously. I didn't search Dubai. I didn't search Qatar. I didn't search Johannesburg because I just ran out of time. So bear with me. This is totally non-scientific, but you're going to get some data, even if it's non-scientific data. Matt Colossus said, will any of these bookings include the one-time select partner that will stack with the edit? I will note it if it's an option because it'll say right on the screen if they allow for that. Well, it won't say it, but it'll say like if it's IHG or minor hotels or those kind of things. So there will be a few examples, although I didn't go out of my way to look for that. Hey, gang, it's Dennis Dunn. How you doing? New Again replies to Sleepy Rod. It's hard to earn points with high velocity with every issuer not named Amex because of big sign-up bonuses. Rewards Master says, hey, everyone, good to be here. Thanks, good to see you, Rewards Master. You would have a totally different take on the edit than I do, so let me know. Mike Newland says, my dad lows low-end luxury prices, LOL. My dad lows. My dad loves low-end luxury prices, LOL. There we go. New Again says, Amex will throttle or stop you with variable subs and pop-up jail. Mike Newland says, to the Rewards Master, great gold card video today. I'll have to catch up on that. John R. has arrived and drops a $1.99 super chat. Celebrate. Thanks, John. Listening as I can while running errands. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to read all these properties, even though it's on the screen. That way, those of you who listen rather than watch can take advantage of this. If you're watching this after the fact, after the live is done, put a comment down below. Let me know if you're driving and listening, mowing the lawn and listening, doing errands and listening, and aren't able to watch. Are me reading off the descriptions helpful for you or not? Let's keep going. Little bit of a nose blow here. So in the process of searching, not every property was low luxury, like the Shinola Hotel. We had places like the Ritz-Carlton in Denver, which charge $20,000 for 4 nights. Well, at least you get $100 property credit. Boy, that'll really help. I was like, just seeing this personally offended me. I don't know what's going on in Denver, between June 3rd and 7th, but holy cow, Ritz-Carlton. So this is my non-cheap example. This is not the kind of property that I'm going to be talking about, just to clarify. But if you're a real high roller, maybe the edit would be good for this kind of situation. All right, so here's 33 real examples. Like I said, I found over 50 cities and 2 or 3 examples in each city, but I thought 100 was way too many. So I narrowed it down to 33 that were either compelling, my favorite, or a good representative of the city they were in, or I just thought it was good for including in the averages. Do you recognize any of these properties on the screen right now? Is there anything famous or interesting looking? All 3 of these will be included in my sample sizes. Rel says, happy errand running to John. Some people greeting each other. David Williams says, Beaver Dam, 20,000, LOL. I agree. The Rewards Master is thanking Mike, and QC Man says, even Dr. Doog scoffed at the Denver Ritz. As my mom circa 1998 would say, well, they're very wealthy, I guess. Dennis Dunn recognizes the Bellagio in Vegas. Correct. On the far right, that is the Bellagio with their famous fountains. So you found at least one of them. Let's keep, 250 Dugraz points for you, Dennis. There you go. Don't spend it all in one place. All right, here we go. 33 real-life examples. Category number 1, or group number 1. Big American cities. Got the New York City skyline there. So these are big cities in the U.S. By the way, I polished this off at like midnight last night. So please don't be offended if you think like that doesn't count as a small city. That doesn't count as a big city. Just roll with it. New York City. I mean, it's New York. You got to consider New York. The cheapest low luxury was the Virgin Hotel, $1,634 for low luxury, and you're going to get $500 off of that. So that takes you down to around $1,100, and at 2 cents per point, what are you going to need? Well, $1,100. I should be able to do this mentally. Divided by 100 would be, I don't know why I'm such an idiot here. 110,000 points. I'm sorry, my brain is fried. And then at 2 cents per point, that'd be 55,000. So 55,000 points, Chase points, plus your credits. You get 4 nights at the Virgin Hotel in New York City. So yes, Matt, you'll notice down below it says hotel loyalty program included or eligible. So if you are part of Virgin Hotels, you can use your hotel loyalty. I think Virgin was in that grouping of the one-time special along with Minor and IHG, Pendry, whatever. Let me know if I'm right or wrong there. Newgan says, $5,000 for a night in a hotel in some basic place, value trap, laugh, laugh, laugh. Agree. Next up is Chicago. Chicago. Is it Lowe's Hotel? Not sure how you pronounce that. $1,300. You can knock 500 off that. So now you just need enough points to cover 800 or so. That's April 6th through 10th. Not bad. How about Washington, D.C.? The best low luxury was The Line. I know nothing about this property. It doesn't appear to be part of any chain. $1,200. Well, hey, we're heading in the right direction. That's June 23rd through 27th. So Washington, D.C., right before 4th of July. That's a legitimate family vacation type thing that I would actually consider. Boston, Mass. We talked about a couple weeks ago how you don't say M-A, you say Mass. The Hotel Commonwealth, $1,439 for 4 nights, and that's February 17th through 21st. Now, I realize probably not a lot of people, heading to Boston in February, but if you wanted to, it's only going to be around $350 a night. Knock off the $500 credit. Now it's like $250 a night. Not terrible. And you can use points at 2 cents per point. How about Charlotte, North Carolina? Now, I was debating this one, but I looked it up. The Charlotte metropolitan area is the 21st largest metro area in the United States. So I'm going to count it as a big city. We've got the Ballantine, a luxury collection hotel, Charlotte. Little over $2,000 for 4 nights in late May. Hey, a lot of schools are out. Maybe you can take your kid out of school 2 days early and head out for family vacation. I like the picture on this one. I found out that this property has like cabins and lodges on site. You're probably not getting the cabin for $2,000. You're probably getting in the big main lodge type building. But I thought it still looked cool, so I included it on the list. And then how about Orlando? You can go hang out with Chad Pennycuff, look at some hot air balloons at the Omni Orlando at Champions Gate. And this is part of Omni Hotel, so it's eligible for your hotel loyalty program. If you're part of Omni, you'll earn points, or you can sign up for a free Omni account. I know nothing about this property. Is it any good? It looks like it's on a golf course. A little over $1,300 for 4 nights. I forgot to mention the previous one was actually part of Marriott, so you can put in your Marriott loyalty number and earn Marriott points on that one. So there is a decent sampling there. And then I think this is the last of the big cities, Miami. Miami Vice theme song intensifies. You can go hang out with Chad from Chad's Money Minutes and some other people in Miami and vicinity. How about the Mayfair Mayfair House Hotel and Garden, Coconut Grove, Miami. Also, it's part of some hotel loyalty program. $1,300 for 4 nights. We're kind of getting a feel for a lot of the like $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 range for our low luxury. Nothing like the $20,000 out at the Denver Ritz. So there's your big cities. Nope, there's one more. Philadelphia Freedom. Lou's Hotel again, or Lowe's, however you pronounce that. $1,500. Daily breakfast too, $100 property credit. May 2nd through 6th. Maybe that works for you. Oh, I forgot about Vegas. Hey, Dennis pointed out the Bellagio Hotel and Casino. That looks familiar. Didn't stay there, but when I was there 2 years ago for the Creator Meetup, I watched the fountain from their they have like a little side ramp thing over here. My brother-in-law and I watched the fountain together. You could stay there for 4 nights for $1,800, or you could take off your $500 credit. It's only $1,300, and then that'd be what, around 65,000 Chase points. Not terrible for 4 nights. Now, for $1,800, you're not going to be staying in one of these fountain-facing rooms. They have like a whole nother wing building sticking out the back for the rest of us low luxury people, not the high luxury people. I'd like to be the person right below the cupola, top floor center there at the Bellagio. That'd be pretty cool. Or how about you stay in Vegas and go to the Park MGM and go to Italy? Hey, that sounds familiar. A lot of us have been there. You could stay at the Park MGM between March 19th and 23rd, spring break, little over $1,100, or knock off your $500 and you've got $600, move the decimal. You got 60,000 divided by 2. You got about 30,000 Chase points at 2 cents per point. 30,000 Chase points, 4 nights at the Park MGM, $100 dining credit. Moderately compelling. Before we get to our next category, let's catch up on comments here, see what people are thinking. If they're like, this is awesome, or these are trash, or something else. Rel says, how many of these hotel options during your search process allowed you to earn with your loyalty number? I didn't keep statistics. I'm sorry, but I'm mentioning it when I see it. So it seems like it's about 40%, a little under half. QCman says, Rel, it's the ones that do indicate on the main page, but lots of IHG properties make it. Good to know. Dennis Dunn says, I was there in Vegas when the Dunes was at the Bellagio location. That's been a little while. Rel says, cupola, the edit word of the day. Yes, if you have like an old courthouse with like a little round thing on top, that's called the cupola. The little round thing at the top of the Bellagio is a cupola, at least in my book it is. All right, 69 people on board, small drop off. So go ahead and keep making your little tiny donations and clicking thumbs up. That'll help. Even comments in a general sense help. Matt says, in the edit, they highlight the hotel is hotel loyalty eligible, and it tells you what the program is. You can gain nights and status benefits at those. They have IHG, Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, Accor Limited, Accor, etc. I forgot to mention that both the Bellagio and the Park MGM are Marriott Bonvoy eligible properties. So there you go. Next up, next group, we have the tour of Middle America. You're going to see some cornfields. You're going to see Casey's General Store too. You're going to go inside. You're going to buy some pizza. Oh, we're working on adding Casey's as a Dugraz transfer partner. Just haven't quite ironed out the details yet. So this isn't necessarily small towns in Middle America, but just sort of the middle-ish part of America. Not the Midwest. We're going a little further south. We're going a little further out, but like not the coasts. What do we got? Well, let's go to Indianapolis. You can go see the grave of Benjamin Harrison. Who wouldn't want to do that? Stay at the Intercontinental Indianapolis between May 18th and 22nd. $1,900. This one is eligible for IHG rewards. Man, a lot of these are eligible for IHG. So this one, like Matt pointed out, would be eligible for that one-time extra $250. So if you extend that from a 4-night stay, like a 6-night stay, in 2026, you could knock out 3 different $250 credits. I'm not pointing that out on screen because I'm thinking like, what's the long-term play here? Not a terrible choice. This must be a newer hotel because there's only 5 reviews, but all 5 of them are perfect. How about the 21C Museum Hotel in Louisville, Kentucky between May 13th and 17th? I don't know anything about it, but there's a giant golden statue of a dude out front, so that seems kind of exciting. This is part of a core limitless, so you can use your core eligibility there. $1,300 and change, and not too bad. How about you go to St. Louis? Meet me in St. Louis. For only $942, you can stay at the 21C Museum Hotel in St. Louis between October 1st and 5th. Well, hey, that really checks out. Spoiler alert, this is the cheapest one. So yeah, I never found any actual 4-night stays for $500. I didn't realistically think I would. But if you're willing to go to this hotel in October, let's just round that off to $1,000 to make the math easier. You're going to get 250 credits even in your normal years. And that's $500 that you have to shell out. If you want to use points instead, 2 cents per point, you can just use 25,000 points. That's not too bad. And I'm pretty good at earning Chase points, both with sign-up bonuses. I'm kind of a big deal. I don't know how to say this, but I'm kind of a big deal when it comes to earning Chase points or shenanigans. How about you go by Denver? Now, earlier we saw the Ritz-Carlton in Denver that was $20,000, but a much more reasonable play, if you're going to Denver, would be between June 3rd and 7th. You could stay at the Kimpton Claret Hotel. This one also must be newer because I see right there it's only got 5 reviews, and it's eligible for IHG1 rewards. $1,551, not too shabby. How about you're going to go to Nashville? Maybe you'll see the Grand Ole Opry. You love country music. Maybe you're going to go hang out with Ron Byrne. Maybe you want to see the grave of Andrew Jackson or something like that. You want to head over to Appalachia, kind of that good old Rocky Top area. Well, between May 5th and 9th, you can for $2,422. This is a Hyatt property, the Thompson. And you'll see right down here, World of Hyatt eligible. Now, that's very compelling because, as we know, Hyatt points are rale valuable. And the aforementioned Shinola Hotel. So you're going to go from Denver to Nashville. You're going to drive up to Detroit in your tour of the Midwest. Stay at the Shinola Hotel for $2,742 in Detroit between May 13th and 17th. By the way, I did 2 people for all of these. So this is more of a couple thing than a 2-room with kid thing. I'm only a couple years away from that. Or you could do a solo trip. All right, that takes care of the tour of the Midwest. Let's see what we got going on here. Matt Clausen says, also leading hotels of the world, Virgin and I Prefer. I haven't seen any I Prefer yet. Let me go way on back here to my Salamander Resort one, which was near the beginning. Oh, no, I'm coming to that. Oops, I accidentally gave away the lead. Sorry about that. You didn't hear that. QC Man says, is the breakfast pizza really that good or it's overrated? If you get it made correctly by the right person at the right time of day, It's that good. Now, if you have your unmotivated teenage employee, not that good. But a lot of times in small towns, you have like a semi-retired grandma who comes in and makes it for like 3 hours a day. And if you can catch it like at 11 a.m. as they're just bringing out the fresh stuff for lunch, it's good. Not overrated at all. Dennis is excited for Iowa corn country. Juan Garcia says Mayfair Hotel in Coconut Grove, Miami, is nice. It has a rooftop pool, bar, nice spa, and in the heart of Coconut Grove bars and restaurants. Awesome. Yeah, I was going to say earlier and I forgot, if you've stayed in any of these places, by all means, speak up. Let us know. Rel says, I'm shocked at that Thompson Nashville price. I'm assuming you're shocked at how low it is. Probably. I'm guessing you're not thinking it's too high. Yeah, that's really not bad. Maybe it's because it's May 5th through 9th. You have to take your kids out of school a little early. I don't know. Zizis Chris says ads are making this unwatchable. I'm so sorry. Feel free to sign up for YouTube Premium. I only have some options with ads. I either turn them all the way off or on. Obviously, if I turn them off, I don't make any revenue. And then it takes like a full day for YouTube to finish processing. And while it's processing, I can't change settings. And since most of my people watch in the first 24 hours, I would lose over half my revenue if I turned it off completely. I'm so sorry. The only options it gives me are conservative, moderate, or aggressive, and I set it at the most conservative setting. So I'm sorry, I really can't do a lot to change that. Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. New Again says, thanks, Doug. This has been the best analysis of edit program on the interwebs to date. Finger red #1, like big foam finger. Awesome. If you have Amex Platinum, you may be in luck. Oh, yeah, because you get YouTube Premium or YouTube credits or something. I want to like Chase and move to CSR, but Chase makes it so hard to do either. Understandable. This isn't for everyone. I'll get to my use case in a little bit. I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just trying to evaluate. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. All right, next up, we have group 3, beaches, or at least the ocean, the ability to look at the ocean, even if you can't go to the beach. Small group. When you think about beaches and you live in the United States, what do you think of? You think about Cancun. So if you're going to go to Cancun in Mexico, you could stay at the SLS, which is a core limitless property. You can use your core membership there. $1,425. Not terrible. How about you go to Jacksonville, Florida, and stay at the Omni Amelia Island Resort? I don't know anything about this resort, but look at the picture. You got a big old pool. You got the ocean. It's called Island, so it's either on an island or at least it's kind of island-ish. This is April 5th through 9th, so depending when your spring break is, maybe that's kind of later spring break time of year. $2,500. Not bad for low luxury. It's getting closer to mid luxury, but it's kind of that low to mid. Like Mr. Roz is starting to clench his teeth a little. How about you go to Canada, eh? Vancouver, stay at the Fairmont waterfront. Doesn't really look like a beach, but you can see the ocean, so that's kind of cool. Another Accor property. This is May 25th through 29th, so now school's out. $1,809 for all 4 nights. Not bad. That's less than $500 per night before you consider your credits. And then last but not least, San Diego. Beautiful beaches in the San Diego area. Now, whether or not you can access the beach from this property, I don't know. It looks like more of a pier than the beach. This might just be looking at the ocean. But it's the Intercontinental by IHG in San Diego. Eligible for your IHG Rewards program. You could use that one-time 2026 credit. $2,100 between June 26th and 30th. So we're talking middle of summer break here. This isn't even like an off-peak time. So I think that's that's the end of the beach properties. Xavier says, it's that good. I assume you're referencing Casey's Pizza, and I completely agree with you. And drops a $4.99 super chat. Celebrate. Thank you so much, Xavier. I really, really appreciate that. Source King is here. My Swedish friend says, why aren't free things unbelievable and just the way I want them? I want things for free and awesome at the same time. Dennis says, Omni on Amelia Island, Jacksonville area is a nice resort. That's good to know. Just go hang out on the beach. Take your wife, take your kids, hang out, chill. Rel says the Fairmont YVR seems like real great value. Good, good. I'm not sure what YVR was. Is that the Canadian one? Yes, Vancouver. It does seem like good value. I mean, it's got like a little cupola of its own here, sort of like a round thing. I like round tower things. Manuel says, I'm at the San Diego Intercontinental right now. This exact one that's on the screen right now? Well, how about that? Are you using the edit credits, Manuel? Inquiring Minds wants to know. If you have the old version of the card, you wouldn't be able to use it, but maybe if you're one of the new signer-uppers, you would be able to. Let us know if they give you any credits, honor status, that kind of stuff. Next, we're going to go with this category. Group number 4. We have international. I realize I've already done one in Canada, one in Mexico. So I'm calling it not North America. You have to go across an ocean of some kind. These are your international properties. Glasgow in Scotland. Between April 16th and 20th, you could stay at the Kimpton Blazewood Square Hotel. That's my best groundskeeper, Willie. This is an IHG property. Of course, it's a Kimpton, so it's eligible for your IHG rewards. You'll earn IHG points. $1,500. Not too bad. That's actually more reasonable than I thought it would be. Maybe you'd have to be a homeschool family or something if you're going with kids because it's the middle of April. Or you could be like me and take an April rip trip. I'm not planning to go to Scotland, but I could. I'm including this for the sake of comparison. I know I've said, like with my past videos, I'm probably not doing any international travel in the next 2 years, but I can always change my mind. Plus, we want to take it into consideration. The Intercontinental in Dublin, Ireland. Same dates, April 16th through 20th. This is part of IHG also. $2,300. A little more, but still within the realm of low luxury. We're kind of bumping up there. I kind of feel like 4 nights has to be 2,000 or less for it to be true low luxury. So this is low luxury adjacent. Amsterdam. Did you ever sing a song in elementary school called "There Were Three Jolly Fishermen"? Fishermen, men. And like the third or fourth verse is they all went down to Amsterdam. Amster, shh. Because of course you're not allowed to swear. The Tivoli Dolene Amsterdam Hotel. This looks really nice. Look at that view. I don't know if it's the actual view or not, but it looks really nice. Under $2,000, 1976. This is eligible for a rewards program. I don't know which one. Is Tivoli a chain? I have no idea. How about Stockholm, Sweden? Hey, OneSource. Have you ever been here? The At 6 Hotel in Stockholm between May 4th and 8th. Just a touch over $2,000 for 4 nights. Just a touch over $500. It says it includes taxes and fees in all of these. So I think we're okay. We're inclusive of resort fees and stuff if they exist. Also eligible for some sort of hotel rewards program. I don't know which one. How about you go to Tokyo, Japan? I hear a lot of people like to go there between August 9th and 13th. So you're still on summer vacation. The Strings by Intercontinental Tokyo, which is an IHG property. So you get your IHG 1 rewards, just a touch over $2,000. Not too bad. So if you take that down to $1,500 after using your 2 credits, actually, let's just say this was in 2026. You used the 2 normal credits and you used your special one-time 2026 credit. Now we're down to $1,250. Or if you want to use points, we're just going to add 2 more zeros, and then we're going to divide that by 2 since we're getting 2 cents per point. You only have to come up with 62,500-ish Chase points to cover this. Not bad. One thing I think about, like, let's just say that amount, 62,500, divide that by 4. That's 15,600 Chase points per night. A lot of us transfer over to Hyatt and get roughly 2 cents per point. That's kind of, 15,000 points is kind of in the neighborhood of what, like a standard category 4, category 5. So this is just sort of like an alternative to using Hyatt points. It ends up being about the same value, roughly. Now, if you have to think about how you're using these credits that you've prepaid for, but that's a good way to think about it. All right, end of that category. Let's see what people have to say about all of that. Manuel says, related to his stay at the Intercontinental in San Diego, no, he's using points. QC Man says, whenever I see Omni hotels, I think of wrestlers promoting matches at the Omni Coliseum in Atlanta from when I was a kid. Saturday, and Sunday. Come to the Omni Coliseum. Hulk Hogan will be taking on Roddy Piper with a special appearance by Andre the Giant. Rel says the SD Intercontinental has a fantastic bar and rooftop area. Did I already mention that? Can't remember. Outdoor lounging near the bar at San Diego Intercontinental. And QC says you got to wear a kilt to stay at that Kimpton. I agree. As it relates to Amster, Brian Jackson says yes, darn. New Again says, I'm going back to England, Scotland next month. Did that super sweet Iberia Avios promo. Good. Mike says, when you look at some international hotels, you have to weigh in the fact that more than 2 people, they might require more than 1 room per stay. That's a good point. They're way more strict on their fire code type limits than we are. So, yeah, think of this as like staying with your significant other, maybe, for those. David Viejo says, I'm currently at the 6. Which one was the 6? I don't remember. I'll have to back up. Oh, there it is. Stockholm, Sweden. How you doing, David? Over here in Sweden. Awesome. I love Sweden. That's funny that I've had 3 different people say, like, I either stayed at very recently or I am currently at one of the hotels on the list. What a coincidence. Yeah. And Source King says, Stockholm as well, you'll find the weak Swedes. The real ones are up north. Okay. I'll take your word for it. As in Nordic skiing events. Dennis Dunn says, very good WWE announcement, Doug. I liked it. I'm glad you liked that very much. All right. I never got into pro wrestling other than the Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestlers cartoon from the 80s. I kind of liked that. So I knew a little bit about the world of pro wrestling from the cartoon. What's the next category? I can't remember. The next category is Group 5, small towns. Okay, let's look up some small towns or unique locations. So these are just sort of like your hodgepodge. I didn't really know where to put them, but it's just kind of unique, cool stuff that I would like to see and or smaller towns. The aforementioned Salamander Resort in Middleburg, Virginia. This is just outside Washington, D.C., roughly the same time frame I went there, July 12th through 15th. It would take $2,300 and change. It says hotel loyalty program eligible. Doesn't say which one, but I know, because I've been there before, this would be the I prefer hotel. Thank you for pointing that out, Matt. So a little above the low-end luxury, but I still might do it anyway because I really like that hotel. How about you go to Sedona, Arizona, where all the woo people are. And between May 25th and 29th, you stay at the Amara Resort and Spa for just a little over $2,400 for 4 nights. Well, that's an option, not part of any loyalty program. How about you go to New Orleans? I've been there. I was there about a year ago with a bunch of you. Did any of you stay at the Kimpton Hotel Fontenot by IHG? I don't know, but it's part of IHG. This one's much more reasonable. Now, this is mid-April. That's probably part of the reason. But between April 6th and 10th, it's only $1,182. Well, that's not bad at all. So let's round that off to $1,200. Say you used all 3 of your credits. 1,200 minus 750 comes out to 450. And then we're going to take that times 100 and divide by 2. You would only need 22,500 Chase points to stay there for 4 nights after all those credits. Not too shabby. I've been here, Charlottesville, Virginia. This is the only one of 2, that Salamander, that I've personally stayed in. Kimpton, the Forum Hotel by IHG in Charlottesville, Virginia, between April 27th and May 1st, roughly when I went. This is right on the campus of the University of Virginia. You've just got a bunch of beautiful colonial style buildings. They built the hotel in the same style, kind of that red brick colonial style. It was awesome. I only stayed 2 nights, but if you want to stay 4 nights, it's going to cost you just a little under $1,700, and it would be eligible for IHG One rewards. So you could use all 3 of those credits next year. So you're talking $1,000 cash, or you could use 50,000 Chase points, ballpark. If you're going to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, that little part of New Hampshire that has a coast on the Atlantic Ocean, you could stay at the Hidden Pond Resort and Tree Spa between May 7th and 11th. Now, I don't know if this is a hippie type place or if this is just like out in nature or something like that, but it looked like it had a lot of cabins and that kind of stuff. And you could do it for $2,864. That's one of the more expensive ones on the list, but just wanted to point out that places like Portsmouth, New Hampshire have edit properties. How about you go to Charleston, South Carolina? Kind of a small, although it's still, a city, capital, those kind of things. Stay at the Ryder Hotel between May 27th and 31st for $2,525. Or instead, you could go to Savannah, Georgia between June 1st and 5th. And here's another Thompson property, the Thompson Savannah. We're kind of getting into summer here, so this is very reasonable. This would be a World of Hyatt property, so you get your Hyatt status. Just over $1,100, $1,144. Anytime I think about Savannah, I think about that episode of The Office where Andy is explaining Southern accents, and he says something like, if you're in Savannah, a Savannah accent's more like this. You gotta have molasses dripping out of your mouth. So yeah, I'd love to go to Savannah, Georgia, actually sometime. I've looked around at like Street View and some guides and stuff. It looks like my kind of place. Very historic, very old fashioned. And I think I said last but not least, this is the actual last, fairly sure. Say you want to go to Bozeman, Montana. You want to enjoy the Wild West, got some mountains going on over spring break. March 19th to 23rd, those 4 nights, you've got $1,353. You could stay at the Kimpton Armory Hotel in Bozeman, Montana, which is, again, an IHG property, so you can use all of your IHG benefits. And that is the end of the samples. Now, I have some thoughts, but before I get into the thoughts and what we're going to do with all this information, let's catch up on comments here. Rel says he does have that wrestling announcer voice. QC Man says, if I recall correctly, Spencer did a video about staying at that Kimpton with the old edit at the New Orleans meetup last year, so others were probably there too. I did see Spencer. I didn't ask him where he was staying. And Dennis points out that Savannah is the most haunted city in the United States. I think I've maybe heard that before, although New Orleans has to give it a run for its money. There's also a little tiny town called Villisca, Iowa, which was the site of like an axe murder in the 1800s that's supposed to be haunted and stuff. Random factoid of the day. 72 people on board. Keep on clicking thumbs up. So let's go ahead and just do a little bit of talking here about what I'm going to get out of the audit. But first, we need to take those 33 data points that I gave and average them out. The average of the 4 nights comes to $1,793 for 4 nights. Or, and I'm not doing the one-time 2026 credit with certain places, if you manage to pull off 2 credits of $250 each, that's $500, you could use those credits plus 64,650 UR points. So 64,650, divide that by 4, and you've got just over 16,000 points per night. That's kind of right in the range of that like category 5 Hyatt. So that's the kind of low luxury we're talking about here. Obviously, some are more impressive, some are less impressive. So that's not going to be the way it is all the time, but I think that's a pretty reasonable average for me to think out proactively targeting the low end of the edit. Oh yeah, 16,000. I guess I didn't need to use my calculator. 16,163 points per night for 4 nights. Here's some final thoughts or some ways that I'm kind of thinking about this. For my travel style, which is intermittent, I'm probably going to do one of these kind of low luxury stays per year. And then the other 3 to 6 days a year are going to be more like budget hotels. For my intermittent style, this is better than the new Amex Platinum. 2 credits that I can use anytime is better than 1 per semester for me. For other people, absolutely not. I can think of several people right now who are like, I'm going to stay at 2 luxury hotels a year minimum, and they're going to be spaced out. So that's no problem. Great. Absolutely. Final thoughts continued. Does this look viable? Yes. I would say what I'm doing here is definitely viable. It's something that could work. Does it look great? Maybe. It's not like blow your socks off value. Like when I saw the Salamander Resort, I got it for over 3 city points per dollar. 3 cents per point when we're thinking of city points, because those transferred 1 to 2 choice. I use Choice Hotels to book it. So this is 2 cents per point, which is not as good as 3 cents per point. But maybe, like I said, I'm pretty good at earning Chase points, so it can be great or it can be okay. Is it worth $795 per year? Because that's the annual fee on my next renewal, which won't be till August of next year, if I decide to keep it beyond. I'm still trying to decide. I'd love any input. Specifically, if you guys have input for, does this suit me? Like what you know of me. Now, if I take $795, which is the annual fee, and I subtract out these 2 $250 credits, that's $500. And then I also subtract out the $300 from the general travel credit. That's a net annual fee or an effective annual fee of $0. It's actually, they're paying me $5. And that's without considering everything else. So on the other hand, $795 is real money. So we need to think about that more. Also, I'm locked into that selection. So yes, I'm getting great value, but I can only use it at the edit properties. And it has to be a property where I want to go. If I want to go to Blackwater Falls in West Virginia, they don't have an edit property. I mean, the closest Holiday Inn Express is an hour away. Either that or you're staying at an Airbnb, something along those lines. I have a little more, but let's see what people have to say. New Again says the South is a cursed place. QC Man drops a $1.99 super sticker. Celebrate. Thank you, QC Man. I really appreciate that. That helps support the channel. Rel says, I appreciate the experiment at Dugroz Reports. Thanks. Ron says, I'm considering upgrading my CSP to a CSR. Well, hopefully this gives you some data points. And Ron, I don't know if you changed your avatar or if we've not met before, but if not, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Cesar says, with the amount of points required on those examples, you probably end up doing better transferring to Hyatt and more likely than not have enough points for flights. Maybe. I could definitely see that. I'm sure it's going to be a case-by-case basis. 2 cents per point is what it comes out to. So sometimes you can definitely do better than 2 cents per point with Hyatt, or maybe just these hotels are overpriced and Hyatt has more realistic pricing. QC Man says there's nothing in the terms and conditions against using edit credits back-to-back. As far as I'm aware, no. Cesar just mentioned what I was thinking. 2 cents per point overpriced hotels, I pass. I don't know how overpriced these are. Like the Salamander, since I've been there before, I know it's not really overpriced. In fact, that's a very reasonable price. I mean, there's pinky in the air, old money people staying there full price all the time. Rel says that's what I was concluding as well. You guys make good points, and I'm not trying to sell you on doing this. I'm just trying to get some data points. So thanks for sharing. Yeah, I'd love to hear opposing opinions. Here's an opposing opinion to Cesar. New Again says, bruh, Hyatt points ain't what they used to be unless you don't mind being far from where you actually want to be. Yep. Tom Duong says, is the $300 travel credit for CSR renewal on anniversary or calendar date? It is anniversary. Too Easy's on board and says, hello. Ron says, I ran a search or two comparing VentureX Travel Portal and Chase Travel, 7 nights and all-inclusive next spring. The Chase Travel Portal ended up costing almost $900 more. Yikes. Yeah, when I did my rental car searches, Capital One and Chase were both consistently overpriced compared to direct with cash. However, Capital One was usually less overpriced, and Capital One has the price match, which Chase does not. QC Man says the one-time 250 credit is good, even with the hotel brand restrictions. The edit credit certainly can be a value trap if you're not careful. They Hate Me says, will the $300 travel credit apply first before the edit $250 credit kicks in? I'm thinking the answer is no. This is how I bet it works. The 2 times 250 is like a coupon where you check a box in the portal saying you want to use it, and then it just comes off. It's never actually charged to your card. Whereas your card would then be charged, it would code as travel, and a few days later, you'd get a statement credit for the $300. That's how I think it works. That's how it works with Capital One and their coupons. So I think it's probably the same way. Cesar says too new again, but it would be a lot better than using the points using the edit. Those prices can sometimes have a huge markup. New again says we got to remember premium travel cards are not for the infrequent traveler. And Cesar says I agree with the high availability issues though. Awesome. Good discussion, guys. This is a really good discussion. Let's keep it going. All right, so let me add to my thoughts here. Here's my evaluation architect young lady, and she's pointing at the Sapphire Reserve. So we got to discuss this. Why not just save $700 per year and get the Chase Sapphire Preferred instead? You got a $95 annual fee card. You've got the $795 annual fee card. They both unlock transfers to Hyatt. They both unlock transfers to all the other transfer partners. Why not just do that? Well, we got to do some math. We got to think about it here. It is a worthy consideration. So let's do some valuation on these credits. What do I think they're actually worth? I did the super basic 800 minus 500 minus 300 earlier and said net no annual fee, but can we all agree that's way too simplistic? We got to do this the Dugraz way. We got to get the actual valuations rolling. So you've got your $300 travel credit, which remains the same. I'm going to value that at 100%, even though it is technically a credit and you wouldn't pay 100% for a credit. I do use it almost by accident every year. I used it on like an Uber a few days ago. $300. That edit credit, $500 a year, I'm going to value that at 80% to kind of allow for a little bit of markup. Maybe that's too generous. I'm not sure. Makes the math real easy. So that $500 credit, I'm going to say is worth $400. $300 per year on Chase Tables, that's their dining program. I'm not going to give that any value whatsoever because I haven't actually taken the time to look, but I know with most dining programs, there's somewhere between 0 and 1 restaurant that qualifies in my entire area I live in. The greater Des Moines area has nothing. $0. And I don't want to, go eat at some pinky in the air $500 restaurant once on vacation just to use the credit. How about DashPass and DoorDash? Well, here's how I'm going to value that. So you get 2 $10 credits on non-restaurant per month with DoorDash through the CSR. And I use that for Hy-Vee delivery, like Chinese food or Hy-Vee deli. And I value those worth about $4 because by the time you figure in the delivery fee, the tip, and the fact that they just plain overcharge, the $10 credit, really, I'm only saving about $4. And I can do that twice a month, so that's $8. And I can do that every month. So take 8 times 12, that's $96. And then in terms of like the valuation, would I pay $96 to get a $96 DoorDash coupon? No, but I might pay 50 cents on the dollar. So I'm going to value that at 50%. That's around $50. Okay, it's really $48, but the math's going to be way easier at 50. So let's just say 50. The $300 annual StubHub credit, which is twice a year at $150. My boys and I usually go to one Iowa State football game in person every year, and we usually buy like cheap secondhand tickets directly off someone we know or some guy online, around $30 each. So I figure without changing my behavior, I can value that at about $100 a year, roughly. And then that $120 lift credit, I'm going to use it probably 3 months out of the year. That's 25% of the year. That's $30. I had to go from my work in downtown Des Moines to my church one night less than 2 weeks ago where I didn't have a car because my kids were going to one of their activities. So I just took a lift and used it. And actually, I probably would have done that anyway to not have to have my wife drive downtown, pick me up, take an hour of her time to drop me off. So I'll value that at $30 a year. Apple Music and Peloton, don't value that at all. Maybe I would love Apple Music, but I'm not using it right now in any meaningful way. I'm not going to use Peloton, let's be honest. So it would just be me changing my behavior. And if I have to change my behavior, I'm not going to count it. So that's a total of $880. So I'm going to value all these credits at $880. Well, hey, that's more than the annual fee. So we've got $880 in value. We've got a $795 annual fee. That's $85 in net positive value per year. What do I get that's a little harder to put the value on, the CSR versus the CSP? I also get Sapphire Lounge access and top-end travel protections. Now, I'm not even going to put a dollar value on the Sapphire Lounge, although it has definitely come in handy a couple times. I would probably be willing to pay $215 per year for those travel protections. So that brings us to $300 in positive value. Take the $85 positive value up here. Let's just say somebody offered to sell me the protections that came on the Sapphire Reserve. I'm a pretty conservative guy. I like insurance. So we're talking emergency evacuation, medical and dental for me and my nuclear family for an entire year. I think I looked it up once. To get a Berkshire Hathaway policy just for summer vacation was like $185, and that's just for 2 weeks for all four of us. So yeah, I'd probably buy a $215 per year travel insurance protection policy. So yeah, that puts us at $300 in positive value. But then again, you can argue flexibility. You can spend that $700 on anything instead of paying the annual fee. And you know I do zero-based budgeting for my travel. So if I pay a $795 annual fee, I either have to use points or cash or some combination, take it out of my travel savings account. So if I don't get all this stuff, I could just have $700 to use any way I want. I'm right on the border, to be honest with you guys. I'm not sure where I fall on this side of the equation. Good news, I've got about a 10-month trial run at the old annual fee of $550. That's because my annual fee came up for renewal in August, like the last week in August. I already paid that. And then starting in October, all of the new benefits kick in. I can even use one of the $250 edit credits for a booking I make between October 26th and December 31st. So I've got a good trial run. I can go from October to August of next year and just kind of try this out and see how it goes. So once I kind of unlock everything in late October, I'm gonna start looking at some booking. Haven't even decided what we're doing for summer vacation next year. It's a big anniversary for my wife and I, so maybe we'll try to do something fun. Let's find out. And then I have to consider this. Well, I've got the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and I said I love these great insurance protections. I just got the Marriott Bonvoy with the idea that a year from now, I'm going to upgrade to the Ritz-Carlton. So which of these am I going to do? It doesn't make any sense to have both for my travel. So I just don't travel enough. I'm going to have to pick one or the other. The good news is this is the middle of September. My annual fee hits in the last week of August. I can probably drag that out about 27 days. So the decision-making point for keep or cancel the Sapphire Reserve is almost the exact same time as me being able to upgrade to the Ritz-Carlton. So I really like how this is timing out for a much cheaper test drive. Pretty cool, huh? How that all timed out. Praise God. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I would love to hear input from you guys. Do you think this is good for me specifically? We got Shruggy Emoji Man. Just not sure. That's the end of the main event. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to grab some comments here, and then we might need to take our biology break and see how that goes. Okay, so new again. I remember he said premium travel cards are not for infrequent traveler. I think I did make a use case in today's live stream where I think that could work. Although I agree with you in a general sense. That's why I wouldn't get the Amex Platinum. That's why I'm leaning towards not getting the City Strata Elite unless it's just for a one-time sign-up bonus. Dennis says, CSR is too rich for me. I'll get the CSP. Great. New again says, correction. We got to remember, premium travel cards are not really for the infrequent traveler. Hence the purpose of this type of analysis. but it's a lot of work for you. That's true. Do I want to do all the work of finding just the right edit property? What if my family decides, hey, we want to go back to the UP of Michigan? Well, I can guarantee you there aren't any properties by the edit in Ishpeming, Michigan. Cesar says, at least we know CSR is doing bad and Chase is trying to add more stuff to make it competitive. That's true. Hopefully over time, they'll add more and more edit properties. QC Man says, Chase has been watching your videos, Cesar. And Rel says, I agree completely. Chase may be on its heels now after this Amex announcement. I do agree that for people that are using the Platinum card the way it's intended, if you're a yacht rider, pinky in the air type guy, or you travel for work, or you're just using points and miles like how Rewards Master does, or Luke's Points and Miles, where you're taking 5 or more luxury vacations a year, Platinum's a better fit. It does feel like the CSR has kind of this narrow band of appeal. New Again says, to Cesar, facts. And I'm here for it. Competition is good. The CSR may turn out to be decent come 2026 if Chase keeps working on it. Yeah, I mean, in 2026, that extra 250, which you can probably use back to back to back, I'm guessing at an IHG type property, that's pretty compelling. If that sticks around on a semi-permanent basis, count me in. QC Man says, Doug in 6 months on his Peloton wearing his Lululemon stuff. That ain't going to happen. And Cesar replies, I hope they improve the edit program and their restaurants. QC Man wants to know if Cesar ended up keeping the CSR for the extra year at 550, or did he already cancel downgrade? We know what you meant. No, I decided not to try it for 625. Probably had a auth user in there. Rel says, Resi has so many more restaurants than Chase's platform. That's why I valued the Chase dining platform at nothing. That's pretty funny. New Again says, I just need to Chase to add travel-related value to the CSR. I don't need coupons for food and consumer-grade toys and lifestyle junk. I'm with you there. I don't want to buy a vacuum cleaner and get a $50 credit. Juan Garcia says, this is a great discussion all the way around. Amex is forcing Chase to up their game on the CSR. Competition is great for us. Cesar downgraded the CSP last month when the 625 showed up. What was that? 550 plus a $75 off user? Yeah, that checks out. Too Easy says, I don't think you travel enough on the same boat. You're on the same boat with me. It seems like the majority is definitely saying, save your $700. It's not worth locking in like this. But I still think the exercise is worth going through to help us figure out if it's worth it or not. New Again says to Juan Garcia, mind your business, dog. I'm kidding. I hope you have a good weekend. Rel says, CSR is not my flavor at this moment. CSP is fine. QCMS says, it makes sense. I assume you'll find your way back to getting a platinum with the refresh. Too Easy says, I'm over credit hunting, so CSP for me. Juan Garcia says, it's all good. Enjoy your weekend. Cesar agrees the competition is good. And to QC Man, my 80K strategy with the platinum is just too easy to justify every year. I assume you mean like an upgrade, downgrade kind of thing. And Clairvoyant says, good morning, normal middle-aged men. Good morning to all of you. Put on your collared shirts and let's go grill some stuff and read about World War II. After we're done talking points and miles, of course. QC Man says, if Chase made the Chase Dining just an open tables credit like Matt suggested, it would be an excellent credit. I agree with that. Or just a straight up dining credit like $25 a month or something along the lines. Cesar says, no other premium travel card gives me 80,000 points for upgrading and downgrading by spending $3K like Amex does. I'm still waiting for my more reasonable upgrade offer. I've got the only offer I have is $10,000 in 3 months to upgrade my business screen to a business platinum. I'd get 125,000 points, which is still fair, but I've already got these other subs I'm working on. So that may not happen anytime in the near future. All right. Well, we haven't done this in a little while. So let's go ahead and do an intermission, and then I'll come back and do the community tab questions. So this is what I sometimes call the intermission. Sometimes I call it the biology break. Basically, I'm going to head over to the loo, and you can too. Excuse me. And while we're doing that, you'll just stare at the screen. If you get an ad, please watch it because you're going to be staring at the background anyway. But let's do some night driving. That's the name of the copyright-free music. I'll be back in about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. I'm back. Thanks for your patience, everyone. I'll catch up on comments right now here. Okay, we have a lot. Too easy. Yes. Don't you have a personal green? If you're talking to me, the answer is no. I've never had personal green, personal gold, or personal platinum. My wife had a personal gold and a personal platinum for a while. Neither of us ever had the personal green. I do have a business green. Let's see. Amex owns Resi, correct? Says Rel. I think that's right. Cesar says on the personal side. New Again says coupons for food and consumer grade toys, junk styles while I'm not feeling the consumer platinum refresh. I get you there. Yep, they own Resi. Clairvoyant says in Amsterdam, there's a men's public restroom where you essentially just pee in the middle of the street behind a metal grate. I like it. Not really. I shoppo at Lulu every 18 months or so. I knew what you meant. Rel says they're clearly more invested in making this work seamlessly. YouTube Experiments just says, just got home from work. What did I miss? Almost everything. Enjoy the replay. Cesar says, New Again, you don't need to use any. Amex gives you 80,000 points every year if you play the real Amex game. Let's see. Cesar, how are the new platinum credits easy to use in Puerto Rico? Asks QC Man. New Again wants to know if I'm going to play upgrade, downgrade, rather do it on Business Platinum. That version has more utility for me. This is what YouTube Experiment missed. I'm going to skip over a little bit of these, but that's a good side discussion. All right. So every Friday, somewhere around 5 p.m., 7 p.m., something along those lines, I will upload a community tab. And I forgot to do the picture, so I got to go find my own YouTube channel once again. And in that community tab will be a picture, and you can guess where the picture is taken, and you can ask me anything. Oh, I need to pause for just a moment. I just now noticed the tip jar had $75 placed into it by Mike Newland. You already gave me $75 on the front end. Thank you so much, Mike. $150 in donations today. Wow, I'm blown away. Celebrate. Thank you so much, Mike. wow, you're just a little more and I can quit my full-time job and be a full-time YouTuber. Okay, a little more than a little, but it is a big step in the right direction. Don't know if that'll ever happen or not. I'll have to think about that. All right, so here is the picture that was on the community tab. Right there. Okay, there's a picture of me. Well, one thing you might notice is that's a very dark beard, almost no gray at all. How old is he in this picture? And in the background, there's like a bell behind a door of some kind. So your job was to guess where that picture was taken, or you can ask me anything. I'm going to break out my phone and now read any questions or comments left on that particular tab. Tom Graber guessed this was the Miller Bell Tower in Chautauqua, New York. It is something with a bell, so that's a really good guess, but no, it's not the Chautauqua Bell Tower. I'm assuming it's pronounced Chautauqua because when I was in high school, we had a like literary magazine where you could submit poems and stuff run by students called Chautauqua. There's a Chautauqua Green Bottoms Park just northeast of the greater Des Moines area. Bobble J. Burfork says, I'm guessing this is Philadelphia, at the Independence National Park Liberty Bell. Well, that's a great guess because that does look a lot like the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia, but it's not. An anonymous person said it's not ringing a bell. Ron Burns says, I'm going to guess it's some kind of church bell from early colonial America. And to that I replied, not church related, but you're in the general ballpark. You've got the right time frame. And then Chris Funchess says, why did you leave the clergy, brother? I've never been in the clergy, so I'm not sure I'm following that comment. And if it's some sort of a joke, I apologize. Went right over my head. So nobody actually guessed it correctly, nor did anybody leave a community tab question about points and miles. So now I'm going to tell you where this is from. But first I have to pull up Google Maps here. And we're going to start with a map of the state of Illinois. I know you're like, Illinois? That bell thing you just showed me is in Illinois? It is. You might think it's in Missouri, but let's just zoom in southern Illinois here. About an hour and a half south of St. Louis, there's this really weird part of Illinois. See, the dotted line goes to the west of the Mississippi River, but the Mississippi River is here. This is because back in the 1800s, there was an earthquake and the river actually changed course. But in this little sticky outy place is a thing called the Kaskaskia Bell State Memorial in the little tiny town of Kaskaskia. It's literally that big right there. This Kaskaskia Bell State Memorial. So it's this little building. Here's some kids standing in front of the building. And it's like you push a button and the door opens and you can watch a little. And now I will teach you what happened at this place. Historical video announcer voice. George Rogers Clark's capture of Kaskaskia in July of 1778 doomed British control of the Illinois country. The occupation of Kaskaskia was the first step in Clark's plan to capture the western headquarters of the British at Detroit. Under authorization from Virginia, Clark raised about 175 troops. They arrived near Kaskaskia during the night of July 4 through 5, after a grueling 2-month journey of more than 1,000 miles. Most of the British had been withdrawn, and Kaskaskia fell without gunfire. Clark's victory and the capture of other frontier posts opened the Illinois country to westward expansion. So there was a battle in the American Revolutionary War where 175 guys went from Virginia to Illinois to capture the western headquarters of the British. And I read elsewhere by the time they got to the headquarters, which was like just some cheap little wooden fort, there was only like 10 British soldiers left. So it was like, hey, yeah, we're the Americans. Yeah. Do you want to surrender? There's 175 of us and 10 of you. Yeah, we surrender. So to honor this great victory, the town of Kaskaskia, many years later, made a bell. Sorry, I'm laughing. It's like the most minor historical thing ever. So I shouldn't laugh at my own jokes. I apologize. There's the bell. Here is there's a little church nearby. It's a decent sized church. It's really beautiful. There's only like 15 people that live in the town. And this is the little building that houses the bell. Like I said, you can't actually touch it. You walk up to it and you push a button that's like a Chuck E. Cheese's style animatronic button. One of the doors opens, but there's bars. You can't go past it. And it's like 1980s film reel. In the American Revolution, the lesser-known Battle of the Western Liberty Bell took place on July 4th, 1778. So if you're really into minor historical things like I am, you would love it. And they call it the Liberty Bell of the West. They basically copied the real Liberty Bell because they're like, we want to celebrate stuff too. We're in this weird little town in Illinois. All right, let me catch up on comments here and see what people are saying. QC Man gives a thumbs up. All right. Clairvoyant drops a $1.99 super sticker. Celebrate. Thank you so much, Clairvoyant. I really appreciate that. Dennis also guessed Philadelphia. Well, they copied that Liberty Bell, so I can see why you would think that. New Again said, I thought there was no YouTube TV in Puerto Rico. YouTube says, it's a door to an Airbnb. Also a good guess, but no. Cesar says, Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. Most things work the same. I was actually going to ask you something about coming to Puerto Rico, Cesar. Okay, dumb question, and I know there's a 98% chance the answer is yes. Are the power outlets the same? The same in the lower 48. Dennis Dunn says, time to sing Ring My Bell. I don't know that song. Clairvoyant says, I need to hit my 5 transactions for my built points to count. I give Doug a tip roughly once a month, so I hit my 5. Awesome. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. New Again says, tell that JetBlue and AA. JC says, happy Saturday. The fine hotels and resorts or the hotel collection and Resi have a much broader footprint than the Edit or Sapphire tables. That's 100% true. Chase has a lot of catching up to do. Great strategy. Yeah, give a 99-cent super sticker 5 times a month and you're there. Speaking of super sticker, Nuracan drops a $3.99 super sticker. Celebrate. Thank you, Nuracan. Wow, I appreciate the support. Cesar's never had an issue with JetBlue. Dennis Dunn likes my 1700s voice. QC Man points out that the hotel collection definitely has a larger footprint. Yes, to the American 110-volt outlets working the same in Puerto Rico. That's what I thought. Sorry if that was insulting. I apologize, but I just like to be prepared. And Rel also says yes. Okay. I think we've come to about the end of the show. Let me go over who has donated money. Last chance to make a comment or suggestion or anything along those lines, or drop your super sticker. By the way, did I give the last person who donated 149 the Dugraz points? I did. Okay, let's review. Mike Newland got things rolling with 5 Dugraz Reports memberships. I like how it keeps the avatar that you had at the time you made the donation. Tom Graber gifted 1. QC Man gifted 1. Brian Jackson celebrated 1 month of membership. QC Man celebrated 18 months of membership. Mike then came in with 20 more Dugraz Reports memberships. His 1,000-point earning $1.49 super sticker. Xavier dropped $50 on me. Awesome. Tariq gave $2. LN dropped $149 and also got 1,000 Dugraz points. John dropped $2. Xavier dropped $5 because of the love of Casey's Pizza. QC Man dropped $2. Clairvoyant dropped $2. And Nuracan dropped $4. There we go. Clairvoyant wanted to know if I mentioned Alliant nerfing their no annual fee 2.5% cash back card. I didn't mention it, but I saw it on Doctor of Credit. They're going from 2.5% down to 1.5%. Lame. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Click thumbs up on your way out the door. If you're one of the people watching this after the fact, I usually get between like 750 and 1,000 views after the video's already done being live, but only like 3 or 4 comments from people who are watching after the fact. So I would love you to tell me in the comment section, if you're watching this after the fact, how do you watch? Do you watch on a smart TV? Do you use your phone, a tablet, a laptop? And what do you do? Are you mowing the lawn? Are you driving to work? Are you commuting? Are you listening on vacation? Are you making meatloaf in the kitchen? Anything would be cool and super fun to hear. And as always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Thanks, everyone. Bye.